So Summer Cinderella has been available for about a day now, and I spent some time testing out her kit. So let's talk about her. Let's talk about how she performs. Let's talk about how to build her, and most importantly, when you're going to use her. So let's start off with how to build Summer Cinderella. Summer Cinderella is a heavy hitting DPS unit, and all three of her skills are valuable when it comes to cranking out those numbers. So your end goal is going to be getting all skills to 10. I would absolutely recommend giving her an SR15 doll. Now, when it comes to overload gear, this is a unit that you're going to use in all content. You're going to use her in neutral bossing. She's going to be usable in campaign, especially when it's Iron Week. So I would recommend getting at least element and attack on each piece of her overload gear. For a third line, if you want to go for it, max ammo and crit stats are good, but depending on the team that you use her in, max ammo might not be as useful as critical stats, but for Summer Cinderella, max ammo is never going to be a bad stat for her. For the Harmony cube, just slap a resilience cube on her and call it a day. And if she happens to be on a team with tons of reload speed and nigh infinite ammo because of it, like if you're using her with a maid duo, then give her a destruction cube just so she gets some extra part damage. So how is her performance? Well, when it comes to single target damage against an enemy with a core, which is going to be like 99.99% of bosses and enemies in this game, she is top tier. And I've even seen people saying that she is better than Rapi RH. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So her single target damage is amazing, but that really only applies to her machine gun form. So let's talk about the sniper rifle form. When I was breaking down the kit in my previous video, I pointed out that Cinderella's preparation for change buff wasn't going to be active as soon as the battle started. And the reason I mentioned that is because I thought it was kind of awkward. And now that I've actually gotten a chance to play with Summer Cinderella, I can confirm that it is very awkward to use the sniper rifle form in this kit. Let's say you want to do an encounter using the sniper rifle form the entire time. What is the fastest way to get into that form? Well, you start off the fight, you shoot one bullet, you reload, and then you reload again. This has got to be one of the least intuitive parts of a kit I have ever seen in NIKKE. So this means that for the first about 4 seconds of an encounter, you are going to be doing nothing, which makes the sniper rifle mode basically non-viable for something like hard campaign. You cannot afford to have a unit doing absolutely nothing for several seconds at the start of a fight. So for hard campaign, it's machine gun mode or bust. Now, what about for raiding, for bosses? Is the sniper rifle form good? No, with an asterisk. So I've seen a lot of people testing Summer Cinderella against Ultra, which is a good target to test her against because not only is it Iron Week, its core is covered for about the first like 40% of the fight. So you can swap her to the sniper form and you can shoot through that cover to hit the core. But that is one instance of where you can use the sniper rifle mode for one part of the fight and then swap back to the machine gun form to take advantage of the core damage. One nice thing about Cinderella's sniper rifle kit is that it makes her burst hit enemy parts and not just the enemies themselves, which can be very useful in niche situations where you have to destroy a lot of parts very quickly, but usually this is something that's rectified by just having stronger units that are able to output more damage, which in turn is going to destroy the parts faster. Overall, the sniper rifle form seems to be just all around weaker than her base machine gun form, and not only does it perform under expectation, it's also just extremely clunky to use. Now, I considered how they would add this type of playstyle to the game with NIKKE's control scheme, and I don't think there's a very good way to have a unit that can swap weapons on demand without it being just a little bit janky. I do think that this is probably the best way that they could have implemented it, but I do think they should change it so that Cinderella has the preparation for change buff right from the start of combat, just to save you an extra couple of seconds when transforming into that sniper rifle mode. Now, for possible team compositions that you'd want to use her in, she'll fit into any standard machine gun composition. For example, Crown, Siren, Rapi Red Hood, Summer Cinderella, and then you could use like Helm, Naga, Privity as like an off burst. A team I was using her in for the Anilo solo raid that just relaunched is Neuda, Siren, Summer Cinderella, Velvet, and Privity. Regardless of if she's in machine gun form or sniper rifle form, she wants to be paired with other machine gun units and fast firing units so that she can reach that 200 ammo spent to generate extra burst gauge. Now, let's talk about the claim that she's stronger than Rapi Red Hood. On single target damage against an enemy with a core, yes, I do think Cinderella will outperform Rapi Red Hood purely from a damage standpoint, but Rapi Red Hood has more to offer than her damage alone. First of all, Rapi Red Hood is dual element. She is iron and fire code, so she gets an elemental damage bonus against wind enemies and electrical type enemies. Rapi Red Hood can be used as a burst 1 or a burst 3. And finally, Rapi Red Hood's burst is better at screen clearing than Cinderella's. Cinderella does an instantaneous screen wipe in addition to a very high damage nuke against a single enemy. Rapi Red Hood is going to do several instances of high damage AoE attacks over the course of 10 seconds, which is invaluable for something like campaign stages where you're going to wipe out a wave of enemies and then more are going to spawn, and then you have to wipe those out, and they don't always all spawn at the same time. They're staggered. Also, Rapi Red Hood scales better with the absolute best burst 1 in the game right now, Star Anise. Summer Cinderella and Rapi Red Hood both benefit from the majority of Star Anise's buffs, but of those two units, only Rapi Red Hood is going to benefit from the projectile explosion damage that Star Anise's kit offers. I still think Rapi Red Hood is the undisputed queen of meta units right now, and Summer Cinderella does not dethrone her. But with all that being said, Summer Cinderella is still one of the best units in the game right now, especially for bossing. Overall, my initial impression when I was doing a kit breakdown of Cinderella was that she's going to be a must pull, and after playing with her kit for about a day, I still stand by that. I do think that this unit is a must pull. Get at least one copy of her. Don't skimp on the resources when it comes to building her. She's going to take you very far. She's going to be a very high performing unit. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helped you out. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!